Hi guys, welcome back and a very good morning from here in Port Everglades in Florida. Now, unfortunately, that means that today is the day that my first ever cruise on Cunard's Queen Elizabeth is over. So I need to leave. But look, over the last 14 days and over 5,000 nautical miles, I've had an absolute ball, and by now, I hope that you can see that in the vlogs that have gone up in the last couple of weeks. But in this video today, I am going to show you what it's like to disembark from a Cunard cruise ship. Also, show you a little bit about what it's like to disembark any cruise ship here in Port Everglades, because I've never ever been here before. So I'm expecting sunshine, I'm expecting palm trees, I'm probably expecting to also be able to see a beach, and I don't think it'll be anywhere near as built up as Miami Port. But who knows, that's the joy of an inside cabin that I have absolutely no clue what to expect when I open that door. But hey, look, let's get out the cabin, because I need to think about leaving here to let my cabin steward in to start cleaning up. And I need breakfast, to be very, very honest. So look, join me up on the top deck and let's talk about the plan for today. Sometimes on disembarkation day, I want to go to the main dining room for a more formal but also more chilled out breakfast situation. Today though, I just came up to the Lido because I wanted something that I could just grab quite quick and quite light before heading outside. What I'm showing you here is what was on offer for breakfast on this disembarkation day, although it does look relatively well shopped because a lot of people were obviously up before me. Now, I did genuinely feel as though the buffet offering on board Queen Elizabeth was plentiful. They never didn't have something that I wanted, and I found that they would always replay it right up until the last minute. You would never ever arrive up there to be told that you couldn't get something. Now, in terms of what I had for breakfast, I opted for a couple of bits of fruit and then some yogurt on top, and also a bowl of cereal along with my coffee, because I think after 2 weeks on here, I just wanted really clean foods. Now, let me show you outside. It turns out Port Everglades is actually one of the largest shipping ports in the country. It is absolutely enormous. Now, from a passenger cruise point of view, you've got the terminal we're docked at, there's one behind, and it looks as though there's also another one around the corner. One thing that did strike me with this port is how lush it was. It actually feels as though you're in the Everglades. It's so cool in comparison to Miami, which I remember being much more built up. Anyway, let me leave you to have a look around the ship at the moment, and I'll speak to you in a second, out in the sunshine, on the top deck. Okay, so breakfast done, and I am now out on what is a baking hot top deck. So I didn't expect it to be this warm here, but yeah, it's hot, it's humid, and yeah, not the most comfortable at times. So anyway, look, Port Everglades is a very pretty cruise port. Now, the way that this works, hopefully you've seen in those shots, but the cruise ships all line up here, and we're protected from the ocean by like a land bank that's got what looks to be pretty tropical. I mean, it's all like palm trees and just really dense vegetation there. There's a couple of parking lots dotted down, and there's some marinas with little boats. It looks beautiful. I mean, I don't really remember what Miami cruise port looks like because I last cruised from there way before, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, the pandemic. So it must have been, what, 6 years ago that I last cruised out in Miami. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like, because in my head it was very, very built up with lots and lots of ships. Whereas this, I can hardly believe this is 30 minutes outside of that. So yeah, look, what we're going to talk about up here before I have to go down and run off the ship before I'm late is a couple of points. Now, first up, we're going to look at laundry. Secondly, we're going to look at the general processes with Cunard. And then finally, we'll look at what happens next. So where are we actually going to go when we get off of this cruise ship? So first up, laundry. Now, this has been a big one for me on this ship, where I've spent a lot of time over the last couple of months in laundrettes and in various shops trying to get my clothes washed in between ships. And it absorbs a lot of time in the 24-hour window that I generally leave myself between Cruise A and Cruise B. Now, the last ship I was on, which was Carnival Panorama, they actually had a guest laundry room where you went in, you paid $3.50 for a wash, $3.50 for a dry, and $2, I think it was, for a detergent. Now that was great because it meant I could just wash my laundry on a day at sea. Now, Cunard is actually one step better than that, where I've been able to do all of my laundry in the laundry room free of charge. The detergent is free, the washers are free, the dryers are free, so that saved me, to be honest, a good bit of money, but it's also saved me time, which is the key element here. Now, the laundrettes here are located on multiple floors of the ship. Ours hasn't been amazing because for the whole deck, we've got 3 washers and 3 dryers, and one of the washers has unfortunately been broken for the entire cruise. So yeah, just make sure that if you're planning to do laundry on a ship, remember there's lots and lots of people that are probably going to be fighting to get those machines. So yeah, just be aware of that. I'm hoping that plane flying overhead isn't totally ruining my voice, but I'm gonna keep going anyway. Now, the second thing that I want to look at today is documentation and the process for disembarking a cruise on Cunard. Now, this is dead easy. We've got 2 documents to look at. The first is this one, which is going to be a 10-second overview, and the second is this one, which we'll just run through a couple of points off. Now, I've never done a Cunard cruise, so I just had no idea what to expect, so I thought that the age-old get out your cabin for 8 o'clock in the morning rule would probably apply on here. But it doesn't, which is probably why I'm so relaxed in the sunshine on the top deck before getting off. But look, number 1, luggage tag. Now, this, to be honest, is what you have to do on every single cruise. So the night before you get off the ship, you'll receive these luggage tags in your mail. Now, all you do is pop your details on here and then attach it to your suitcase around the handle like that. And then that will then mean your suitcase will be waiting in Purple Zone 6 down in the terminal building. So really, really easy and really straightforward. Now, luggage tags aside, the other point I should mention, your luggage then goes outside your room by 11 o'clock the night before on a Cunard ship. So make sure that you leave yourself clothes to wear today, otherwise you're going to be in a bit of a situation this morning waking up with nothing to put on. In terms of documents for today, now this one here is what you get a couple of days before you leave the ship, and it really is your, to be honest, your idiot's guide for how to disembark the ship. In here, you've got what port we're going to, what the gangway number is, so you can tell any relatives that might be picking you up. You've got your disembarkation time. So the way it works on here, you can do fast track, and that'll mean you can leave between 7:30 and 8:15. But I don't like doing that because I like to relax, have breakfast, and also come on and talk to you guys. If I was off of here at 7:30 in the morning, I'd be half asleep. So I've opted for the standard time, which is 9:45, which is actually, it's not late. I mean, Virgin do mega late disembarkations where you can leave at like midday, and some other companies do disembarkations like Royal Caribbean. They want you off by 8:30, which, yeah, it's too early for me, to be honest. So 9:45 works quite well for me. And that means that you can have breakfast in a number of different venues. So as you know, we went to the Lido today, which is the buffet. You could also go to the Britannia, which is the main dining room. And there's also the other restaurants. So if you book a suite, for example, the Princess Grill is open, the Queen's Grill is open. So you've got plenty of choice, to be honest, for disembarkation day. Now, settling your account, I've told you about that so many times in my other videos, but if you've linked a debit card up to your booking, you've got nothing to worry about. And if you've paid cash, then you just have to go down and settle that down at guest services, or the purser's office as they call it on here, before you disembark the ship. Now finally, where on earth are we going now? So Port Everglades is just outside Miami, and that's exactly where we're going. So my next ship is going to be Virgin Voyages Scarlet Lady, which probably couldn't be any more different to the experience that I've had over the last 14 nights with Cunard. Now, I'll tell you more about that cruise when we get down and get settled into the hotel, because I'm really excited for that, but I'm also really nervous after this one because I'm so chilled after being on this ship for this length of time. So yeah, I think it's going to be party from now on this next ship, so not sure how I feel about that. But look, enough from me here. Let's sign off from Queen Elizabeth. Let's hopefully get downstairs, get an Uber, and head down to the hotel in Miami. As much as it pains me to say it, it's now officially time to disembark Queen Elizabeth. I have loved my time on board this ship, and hopefully that's been clear to see. To disembark today, I had to head along to the main atrium, which is where the gangway was located. You can see here, there were quite lengthy queues, although generally speaking, they did keep moving. It was just a build-up of people trying to get down the gangway all at the same time. Before we disembark, I just wanted to spend a minute showing you this amazing atrium. It was without a doubt one of my favourite spaces on board the ship, and it amazed me that every single day of our cruise, these flowers looked amazing, and even from 2 stories up in this atrium, you could smell the lilies wafting up there. It was absolutely, it was just so nice. So anyway, on that note, it's time to kiss goodbye to Cunard for now, although we will be back in the future, but more on that later. Now it's time to head down the gangway and then straight in to the Port Everglades cruise terminal. I couldn't film inside due to various security rules, so that brings us to the other side of the terminal. This is essentially where all the people come out. This is where you can arrange to get picked up by your Uber, you can get picked up by your family members, or if you choose to book an excursion, you can get picked up here by your charter coach. I chose to go for an Uber, so this was my ride here, which actually I thought was pretty posh for an Uber. I was delighted. From here, it was a relatively decent drive actually. We didn't hit any traffic down to Miami until we could reach my hotel, which was just off of South Beach. I'll catch up with you properly when we get into the room. Guys, $59 later, I'm now in my hotel in South Beach. Now, I would have definitely hoped that a 30-minute journey would have cost less than that, but hey, it is what it is, and I'm now at least in the hotel and settled for the next 24 hours. Now, one thing that was a bit strange when I was in the Uber on the way down, now the last time I was in Miami was to actually board my first ever cruise on Norwegian Escape. Now, that was pre-pandemic. It must have been, I think it was about 6 years ago, and I just remember Miami Cruise Port being so busy, and every single terminal had a huge big cruise ship at it, and it was sort of ship the whole way down the docks. Now today was really strange because there wasn't a single cruise ship in here today. Now Miami Cruise Port, it was dead. It was so weird. And tomorrow morning when I go down there to get on Virgin, obviously Scarlet Lady is going to dominate that skyline, but I'm also intrigued to see how many other cruise ships are there, because it felt just very different seeing no ships at all, because you get such a clear view of every horizon, every terminal as you drove along that highway. Very unique. But yeah, look, let's go back and think about disembarkation today. Now, you will have noticed that when I got down to that grand lobby, there was quite a queue. Now, that queue wasn't normal for a disembarkation, and it's a bit of a funny one because the reason why that queue built up today was due to a US immigration policy, I believe. Now, what had to happen this morning was that every single passenger on Queen Elizabeth, regardless of whether you were in transit or disembarking this morning, everybody had to leave the ship so that they could perform a zero count. Now, a zero count is basically when they can say that there are 0 passengers remaining on the ship and everybody is off. Now, what that meant was that, first of all, they disembarked all of the in-transit guests, and they basically took them off the ship and tried to hold them in an area inside the terminal building. Now, that coincided with all the different disembarkation slots of all the guests like me who were getting off the ship to remain off the ship today. So, in the terminal, it was a little busy, is probably the best word. And outside the terminal building it was starting to get a little bit chaotic when I left, because you had inside the building was only reserved for those who were in transit, so the people who were staying on Queen Elizabeth for the transatlantic, who had also done the Panama Canal. And to be honest, the majority of people that I met on board were actually staying on for a long period. Now, what that meant was that the terminal was then full, and anyone that was embarking today had to wait outside. So, yeah, there's only so long people will wait outside before they begin to get a little bit agitated, and especially somewhere as warm as this, and there wasn't any water, there wasn't kind of much information coming out other than we don't have a zero count yet, so you can't board. So I guess I would say, look, if you're on a cruise ship and they talk about this zero count thing, just try and get off the ship as quickly or as efficiently as you can, because ultimately there were so many passengers today that were being held up because their fellow passengers were still coming off the ship. I mean, my disembarkation slot was 9:45, which I think was the latest slot. But when I left, there was a lot of people sitting, chilling out, having coffee in the cafe and hovering downstairs in the lobby and just walking the decks. And all those people, like, if you just go down and get off, you'll get back on so much quicker. I think, yeah, it was probably just the bigger picture maybe wasn't being thought of by everyone in that terminal today. So I'm hoping there's not too many frustrated faces going back on to Queen Elizabeth this afternoon. But look, reflecting back on this cruise, I've had an absolute ball, and I really hope that that's come through in this series, and I hope that you've enjoyed following along. So if you have, it would be brilliant if you could jump down and give the video a thumbs up, and it would be also, as I say all the time, it would be brilliant to have you along on the rest of my journey this year, as, I mean, I'm going to be living almost back to back on cruise ships for, well, this is August, so now back to back until Christmas. So I've got plenty of cruise ships and plenty of, well, everything to show you. So make sure that you jump down below and subscribe. Now, while you're down there, you can head into the description, and if you have enjoyed the video, then you're more than welcome to come over and join our community on Patreon, where I blog for you guys. You'll get loads more content than what you get on YouTube. And above all else, it's just a way to support the channel. So I'll link that in the description below as well. But look, my next ship, which I am really, really excited for. Now, this is Scarlet Lady out of Miami Cruise Port tomorrow afternoon. So that is going to be a 4-night cruise, and the day after tomorrow we'll dock in Key West, which honestly I can't wait to take you to Key West, because I was there years ago on a drive-in holiday and I remember it being beautiful. So we're going to go to Key West. We're then going to go to Bimini, which is where the Virgin Voyages Beach Club is, so I'll show you that. And then we've got a whole day at sea before coming back up. Now, the vibe on this one is going to be very different, and depending on when you book, you can get pretty generous bar tabs on these cruises. So I think I'm going on this cruise tomorrow with like $400 or $500 to spend at the bar across a 4-night window. So we're going to have a lot of fun on Virgin, and we're going to put them through their paces and understand what a Virgin cruise is all about. So look, from me in my hotel here in South Beach, I'm going to head out and go and grab a coffee and sit on the beach for a bit. And I will see all of you, probably right here, tomorrow morning to head down to board Scarlet Lady. But thank you so much for following along, and I'll see you tomorrow. Great. Cheers, guys. Bye.